Hi, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me see if there's audio. Do we have audio? Oops. No audio. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you hear me? Okay. Oh, okay, may audio. Let's try it again. Do you have an audio? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nauubo pa rin ako. Okay, magandang gabi. Ako po si Trixie Cruz-Angeles. Ito po ang Luminous. Magandang gabi sa lahat ng nanonood sa atin. Pero bago natin ituloy, huwag kakalimutan mag-like at mag-share. So, nasa YouTube kami. Huwag kakalimutan mag-subscribe sa YouTube channel natin. At yung mga nasa Facebook, huwag kakalimutan kung nakafollow na po kayo sa Luminous, check nyo kung nakafollow pa rin kayo. Pangalawa, kung nakakakuha kayo ng notifications dito, basta makakakuha kayo ng notifications, punta na lang kayo sa page kasi minsan may problema yung link. Hindi ko alam kung sinasadya ng Facebook ito. Ngayon pa man, magandang gabi. Huwag kakalimutan, check nyo kung nakafollow kayo. Pero kung di pa kayo nakafollow, why don't you go ahead and do so? Madali lang naman po. Just click on our page. Magandang gabi, Kay. Ang dami nyo na. Okay. Ano unahin natin? Unahin muna natin yung mga tanong dun sa yung isang napaka-significant na tanong na hindi ko masagot kanina. Tinatanong kasi, before nag-announce si Madam Sara, tinatanong ng iba kung maaari ba mag-file ng kaso ang SolGen dun sa Red Cross. Pero, ano yung antecedents dito? Of course, medyo very aggressive si Senator Gordon doon sa Senate investigation tungkol dito sa DOH and the spending and dun sa mga examine sa ating TBM at saka yung reasons for things like purchases made at the height of the at the start of the pandemic and so on, which have been likely sufficiently explained pero parang masyadong mainit pa rin yung Senado. So the Malacanang struck back and asked, the president said that he wants to ask for an audit of the Red Cross. In the course of this, biglang napansin ni Spokes Harry na yung Red Cross, which is obligated to give a copy of a financial statement or submit a financial statement to the President of the Philippines every year. Okay? Bakit importante to the President? The President is also honorary chairman of the Red Cross. Pero yung batas, sinasabi, the FS is supposed to be submitted to the President. It doesn't say it must be submitted to the honorary chair. Na malaki yung difference. Kung sa honorary chair yan, ang dali kumuha, sabihin ng honorary chair, you know, they'll just, it's a matter of course, the honorary chair gets a copy. But this one is a copy made to the President, given to the President of the Philippines. Because kinikilala na mayroong continuous working relationship ang Red Cross with the government as an auxiliary of the government. Ano yung ibig sabihin ng auxiliary? Ibig sabihin, meron silang mga support services na binibigay dito sa gobyerno. Halimbawa, yung pag-aasikaso o pag-treat ng mga wounded and dying and so on, pagbibigay ng medical intervention, medical treatment dun sa mga nasasawi o nasusugatan in the course of armed conflict. Whether the armed conflict is external or internal, kasapi ang Red Cross dyan sa alitan na yan. Sila dapat ay maaaring pumasok base sa international humanitarian law. So, ang pagkakakilala nito, bilang pagkakakilala nitong auxiliary relationship ng Red Cross dun sa ating gobyerno, nakikita natin na binibigyan din nila ng kopya ng financial statement para nakikita ng Pangulo ng Pilipinas ang financial health and standing ng itong organisasyon na ito. Ngayon, sinasabi din ni Spokes Harry, sui generis ang Red Cross. Ibig sabihin, hindi mo pwede siya basta i-characterize as a private organization. Hindi ito government, but at the same time, hindi siya exactly private. Kasi nga, nag-provide siya ng auxiliary services without necessarily being a part of government. So, sinasabi ni Spokes Harry, lalong-lalo na, meron silang sariling batas. So, can the COA audit the Red Cross. Ang submission ni Spokes Harry, which we agree with, is base sa saligang batas, maaari. Kasi regularly po binibigyan ng subsidy ng ating PCSO ang Red Cross para sa iba't ibang mga operations nito. So, kumbaga, hindi naman mabubuhay ang Red Cross kung wala yung subsidy ng ating gobyerno kasi tuloy-tuloy po yan. At least, once a year, may special lottery para sa kanila at yung ibang mga lottery, pwedeng mga porsyento doon ay pumupunta para sa mga gastusin ng Red Cross. Bukod pa doon, maaari silang magpataw ng presyo sa ilang mga serbisyo nila, halimbawa yung training ng mga first aid and so on, para magamit din po nila yon para sa kanilang mga operasyon at sa mga kanilang mga activities. Naaayon naman yan po sa batas. Gayunpaman, maliwanag na maaaring i-audit ng COA ang Red Cross. Pero sabihin na natin na tutol sila at ayaw ng COA, I don't know how they can do that, na mag-conduct ng audit, maaari rin pa-audit ang Red Cross through an external auditor. Okay. Pero dahil nagkakaano na yan, may dinagdag pa si Spokes Harry at sinabi niya, by the way, since 2016, hindi na nagbigay ng financial statement or report on financial statement ang Red Cross to the President. Ngayon, tinignan natin ang batas. Ang batas says there's, for violations of the law, ito yung penalty. 50,000 peso fine or imprisonment of up to 1 year. Maaari ba ngayon? Ngayon, ang hindi ba pagsumite ng FS ay isang criminal, isang violation that would necessitate a criminal action na maaari silang mahatulan ng guilty or not guilty dito sa isang kaso na ito. Ang submission natin, well, hindi kasi maliwanag ang batas, so ina-assume natin na lahat ng nakasulat doon sa batas ay pagka hindi tunupad yon ay magiging violation na kinoconsider na maaaring i-penalize under that same law. So, in the meantime, pursuant to this, ang daming nagtanong, pwede ba ang SolGen ang mag-file niyan? There are two actually reactions which we should take up. Number 1 reaction was, pwede ba SolGen mag-file? Number 2 reaction, bakit ngayon lang sila nagsabi? Squeeze me, di ba? Actually, natawa ako doon so parang lumalabas na Office of the President may kasalanan kasi hindi sila humingi ng FS. No, the law is clear. Without need for demand, kailangan binibigyan ng FS ng Red Cross ang ating Pangulo ng Pilipinas. So, ngayon, maaari nang gawin ng Malacanang is mag-demand sila, send us your FS for the past few years, from 2016 and onwards. After that, maaari nilang kilatisin yung mga FS na yun and then call for an audit. The President actually, as the chairman or honorary chairman, can ask for the setting of an agenda by the board to order the CEO or whoever is acting or the President of the Red Cross to submit the internal audits and then submit to an external audit. Whether that's going to be done by the COA or another auditor, well, bahala na rin ng presidente for that one. But in either case, maaari po yun. Okay? So, can the SolGen file the case? No po. The SolGen cannot file criminal cases. Ang mangyayari dyan ay maaaring i-turn over yan sa DOJ for a preliminary investigation to determine kung mayroong criminal dito. Okay? Alright. So, pero i-contextualize po natin, bakit aabot dito sa ganitong point? Bakit ang presidente ay bakit siya yung bakit siya yung sumasalag? Nakikita niya yung mga tao niya roasted practically in the Senate, at yung parang dati, parang yung kina Jason Aquino, kina Nick Fayendon, di sila nakakasalita, binabara sila. It wasn't a real kumbaga hearing because nobody was actually being heard except for the senators. Yung mga resource persons nila, siguro maliban kay Secretary Duque, who seems to be on the good side of many of the senators, yung iba talaga parang nababalahura lang dun sa hearing. And so the President was reacting to that. Teka, magpapasalamat muna ako. Maraming salamat kay Ma'am Moser, Ilicara Araceli Moser. Sabi niya, hi, and she's watching from Basel, Switzerland. Thanks for explaining. So helpful. Yes, ma'am. Thank you din po for what you said. Tapos, okay. Ay, ito, si ano din pala, si Ma'am Elda Hashiguchi. Thank you very much. Alright. So, may tanong pa ba tayo dito sa Red Cross so that we can go to the next topic? So, ang ano na lang dito is that the president is in the fray. Yan ang makikita natin. Ang politika dito is, pumabanat ang Senado at hindi naman tayo nag-iilusyon na hindi yan political. Alam natin na yung so-called Senate investigation na napakanipis ng premise ay in aid of elections or re-elections. Sa madaling sabi, nagpapakyut itong mga to. So, alam nga naman, the president sits back because hindi na yung at stake dito is how his government looks. In fact, the president doesn't care how he looks, diba? Doesn't care if binabakbakan siya. Kasi sa totoo lang, he's the president. He's not being deposed and, he's not running for president again. But he has to protect his people. And he has to protect these people, particularly since they're going to need a political future. He has asked a lot of them, and therefore he is going to have to protect them dahil nga malaki yung hiningi sa kanila. They give up private practices and so on, tapos ganyan, people suspect them of being corrupt and the opposition calls them corrupt and so on. So malaking bagay yung pagsiservisyo dito sa gobyerno. And so the president is of course obligated as the person who dragged them into the business in the first place na protektahan sila, not just protect them of course, but to ensure that they have some kind of future after this. Thank you kay Nathaniel Quintos po. Okay. Nubo na naman ako. Right. Are there any questions pa so far on Red Cross? Basta rin characterization yan is of course, well, pursuant to that, the president said, correctly called out. Sabi niya, itong Senado, ano ba kayo, di ba? Wala namang kayong ginagawa. Wala anong matinong batas ang ginawa ninyo. If the president didn't push very, very hard para dito sa mga tax reform laws and so on, abay, ano yung matinong batas na papasa dyan? Well, we can see naman, hindi naman zero ang ating legislature, but on the other hand, there are attempts on their part to na mauna yung mga self-interest at hindi naman bulag ang presidente dito sa mga pangyayaring ganyan. Naka-veto nga siya ng 11 provisions doon sa create dahil may mga singit-singit dyan that were really, alam nyo, yung tipong hindi naman sila halata masyado, pero halata that they were interested in things other than the national good. Okay, lagay na lang natin sa ganon. Alright? So what the president is doing is he is in the fight. He is in the fray. Bakbakan yan. And ang chief na tagasalag dito on the executive side is of none other than the president. And he's a very, kumbaga sa armas, itong mga senado, itong mga opposition, ang hawak nila, ang hawak ng presidente, kanyon. Ang hawak ng opposition, water gun. Nevertheless, syempre, you can why are they after this? Sa atin, yung opposition, hindi rin naman siguro sila bulag to the fact na mababa ang ratings nila, na napakalakas pa rin ni presidente. It doesn't necessarily translate to, his people, no? Hindi necessarily ibig sabihin na popular ang presidente, yung mga nakapaligid sa kanya ay popular din o mananalo din sa eleksyon. Gayunpaman, ang binabanatan, ang binabakbakan is still the president. I don't know what the strategy of the opposition is, but whatever it is, it doesn't seem to be working. Kasi nga, ang ini-engage nila, yung pinaka-popular na politician dito ngayon sa Pilipinas. That's not going to be an easy task, di ba? Na nakalad ka rin siya through the mud. He has been used to it, having done this for the past 5 years. So it's not that big a deal for him. Sanay na sanay siya. You want to throw dirt on me? Wait lang, hold my beer. Ganyan yan. Tapos, eto, kal. Ayan. Lumalabas tuloy itong mga financial statements dito kay Senator Cordon to the point na he's forced to portray himself like this victim and so on, just to save face, to save his whatever campaign he's going to be conducting during elections. Let me just check your comments. Ma'am Charity says the opposition is actually more screwed up because of the acceptance of PRRD as VP and the pronouncement of Mayor Sara earlier. Why? Because anti-Dutertes does not want him to run for VP, and now even pro-Dutertes do not want him to run either because they want Mayor Sara. For the first time, Bongo did not come sa convention alongside PRRD, and this signifies one big thing: run Sara, run. Well, let's check it out po. Ma'am Pinay says, vocabulary sui generis, yung natanong ni Ma'am Pinay Paparazzi, vocabulary po, how do you spell that word, yung tawag ni Spock sa Red Cross, is it a Latin word? Yes, it is. Two words, sui, S-U-I, generis, G-E-N-E-R-I-S, sui generis. Okay, dagdag ko kaya yan dun sa natin. So, sui generis meaning in a class by itself. Benedict Corpus says, why do I feel like that PRRD is just playing with the yellows with the announcement that natatakbo siya as VP? Is really a master troll, mastermind, master tactician, lupet. Okay, sige, let's talk about Sara Duterte's announcement. Well, it wasn't really an announcement. She was being interviewed and she answered honestly, as she usually does, that she's not running because may usapan sila ni PRRD na isa lang sa kanila ang tatakbo for national position. So remember those conditions. Ngayon, itong mga salitang ganito, I feel na ganito. Look, yung mga statements na ganyan, do you honestly think that is going to help? We're in the fight of our lives. You know why? The opposition is breathing down our necks. They're not really very good at elections, but they're people who are backed by very, very powerful forces. The international interests even. So, is it really good for us na magfo-fall back tayo dyan sa mga ganyang klaseng statements na, no, the president knows what he's doing, at chuchu. One, wala tayong ebidensya. Two, we don't know that. Assuming that we know that the president knows what he's doing, what is he doing? Now, the other thing is that why are you guys presuming that both the president and Sara Duterte are lying to us? Na they're going to run pala. Yung mga ganto lang yan. Because of the 2016 elections, a lot of us think that the strategy that the president did in 2016 is going to be the same strategy now. Yung mga tipong cloak and dagger, they're not going to announce anything, then suddenly, eto na biglang kandidato, ganito. The one thing that I do know is that Sara Duterte is always very straightforward. She will tell you exactly what is on her mind and she will tell you exactly what she's going to do. Anong sabi niya? Hindi siya yung type na babago siya ng isip at the last minute. She plots, she plans. Okay, now, it's also possible that this is all part of the plan. Or, she's also rolling with what's going on. Now, ano yung kicker dito? Ano yung hindi, yung fly in the ointment natin? Hi lang kay Brian Espina. Ang fly in the ointment dito is the PDP laban. Bakit? Kasi alam nila that there's a huge clamor for Sara Duterte. Alam din nila na number 1 so far sa survey si Sara, and yet they insist on putting up their own candidates. Ito nga yung pinagbibintang ni Senator Manny Pacquiao sa kanila. All of this intramurals within the PDP is to set up daw Sara para sa kanila, ha? But I think it's a little more than that. I think that the PDP, if the PDP was pro-Sara, they should have done that from the start. Diba? Why go through this whole thing? My suspicion is this, is that there's some people who are currently in power who are not willing or ready to let go. Because they know that they'll not be able to hold on to that power once it is Sara Duterte who has the reins of power once she becomes president. Or once she becomes confident ko, no? Once she becomes president, talagang walang duda. Okay. Are we counting out BBM? No, of course not. Well, BBM is a separate force to be reckoned with. He has a solid north. He has the Marcos name. He has a solid platform, and he has been conducting himself in an exemplary manner. So we're not counting out BBM either. But what we were counting on was a Sara BBM tandem. What I suspect is happening here is that there are certain forces who want to jettison that tandem. It's unbeatable. And how do you beat that unbeatable tandem? You go to the agreement between Sara and her father that only one of them will run for a national position. So, hinarbat nilang presidente to the point where he cannot say no to running for vice president. Why is the president doing this? Well, among other things, One, he has to also protect his people. And a lot of them might be in trouble with a hostile administration coming in. That's number one. Number two, the president hates being a lame duck. The one thing that he has made no secret of this, ayaw niya maging lame duck. So, he doesn't, running for vice president means that he is right now still a force to be reckoned with. That people will not just, shunt him aside, will not barrage him with criticism intended to negate the ruling party now. Okay, look at the previous patterns. Noy, towards the end of his presidency, kinuyog na ng criticism. There was Mama Sapano and all of this. And then the specters of Yolanda and DAP and PDAF and of course Janet Napoles somewhere in there, they were all hanging over Noy. But in the first few years, everybody's yung mga nakapaligid sa kanya, nakakinabang and so on. By the time he came into the last 2 years, binabakbaka na siya. And it was also by people who he possibly thought were on his side. So, back, to the point that whatever ruling party he was holding at the time is no longer the ruling party now. GMA, ganun din. Towards the end of her term, she was also feeling it herself. And all of us felt it. After so long, GMA was finally stepping down. No matter what kind of last-ditch efforts to change the constitution that some people around her were thinking about, the inevitable was that she was going to step down. And so, a lot of people, she wasn't exactly a popular president, so it was very easy na bakbakin siya ng bakbakin din ng Senado. Same with most of the previous presidents, except for Erap, of course, because he was impeached. So, this is the same thing that's happening with P. Duterte. And so, in order to avoid being a Gloria or a Noy, he announces that he's running for vice president. But, the PDP Laban is taking that seriously because the president can say, I'm running for vice president and then walk away because all he wants to do is consolidate his power as president until the very last day. Diba? Why are you saying sorry that Senator Bongo is very much affected by the issue? We're not saying anything yet about Senator Bongo other than that he had declined. The one thing that I really don't like is you putting words into my mouth because it's so unsanitary. Okay. Anyway, so that's the president. That's what he wants to do. He does not like to be a lame duck, and he does not like to be a lame duck president. So, the initial announcement to run for vice president was, para hindi siya lame duck, diba? Okay, I'm running for vice president, and you won't know until the last minute whether I'm serious or not. And that's still the strategy. Up to now, nobody really knows whether he's serious or not. The PDP Laban certainly is very, very, very serious. They want the president to continue because siya yung connection nila eh. They will not be able to remain in power. They will not be, they will be worried about protecting their back if it is a Sara Duterte or BBM presidency or any other presidency for that matter. So, it is talagang against the interests of the PDP Laban to see a Sara BBM tandem coming to bat. Mayor Sara, if you're also going to look at what she said and very clearly understand that this is a very straightforward woman. She is not going to beat around the bush and she will tell you the truth straight to your face. Okay? She's not the picture of the wily, slippery politician. No. Babanatan ka niya dire-diretso. And if she doesn't like you, hell yeah, she doesn't like you. You will know it. So, she's not, that's why it bothers me, only on a personal level, because, this ultra straightforward person who tells it like it is, and then everybody says, hindi, tatakbo yan, hindi, ganyan. What, are you calling her a liar? She just said she's not running. Okay, however, I agree with some of you that she might possibly change her mind. And what could possibly change her mind? Kasi maliwanag yung usapan, and she's the type of person na susunod sa usapan. Yun nga yung gusto ko eh. Sa kanya, actually, I think that is the reason for her popularity is that you don't have to guess when it comes to Sara Duterte with Rodrigo Duterte. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You do have to guess. You don't know sometimes what he's thinking, and even in fact, you don't know what he's going to say next. Ma'am Sharon, thank you very much. Sharon Azucena. Thank you very much po. Okay. This one I'd like to also note. Saludo ko kay Senator Bongo, napakabait niya sana lahat ng politiko gaya ni Senator Bongo. Yes, I know that he is not that popular with some people, but I would like to point out na maraming natulungan yung malasakit centers niya. And as a matter of fact, I've been getting a lot of messages kung kani-kanino who have personal knowledge na natulungan sila ni Senator Go. And he has been tireless pagdating dun sa talagang yung intention niyang tumulong sa mga tao for years already. Yung mga tipong you will hear stories from victims ng sunog, typhoon victims and all of that. Pero hindi mo siya nakikitang may nakabuntot na naka-video sa kanya, no? Plus yun nga, yung malasakit center is for people who have relatives who are in hospitals, yung mga you're hit by this huge family disaster. Somebody gets sick and it's not cheap. What do? You go to every single government agency that has a charitable effort para dun sa mga may sakit. So, of course, you use your PhilHealth, you go to PCSO, you go to PAGCOR, you go to whatever, you go to the DOLE and see what benefits, what employees benefits you can get, and so on and so on. What Senator Bongo was, he put them all together. Diba? So, hindi ka umiikot. Because personally, na-experience ko yan. Merong nagkasakit, and it was a fatal disease. So, umiikot ka, naghahanap ka, because you're not sure kung mababayaran mo, and the bills can be stratospheric. So, yes, I agree, Ma'am Arlinda. Saludo rin ako kay Senator Bongo, because only now ko naririnig itong mga stories na natulungan sila. Okay. That being said, he did not attend the convention, as some people here have noted, and he has released a video saying that he is declining the position. Okay, so now it into uncertainty, with Mayor Sara saying in no uncertain terms that she's not running for a national position. What is the way out? Well, how can we still have a Sara BBM tandem? Because we know that the reason we're wanting to push this is because the Sara BBM tandem is believed to be, unbeatable. No matter how wily the opposition is, no matter what kind of forces they are gathering, or who are going to interfere with our elections, a Sara BBM tandem is going to be very, very difficult to beat. So, how can this happen? Let me see. Ito yung mga sinabi niya. Sara not running. Sara says she's not running. Sara won't run for president. Sara not running. Pacquiao's PDP Laban wing sees a smokescreen. Now, we can't help but talk about the PDP Laban because even if they feel the candidate, and it's really unusual. Na-note kasi ni Boss Conrad today is that you're a major political party and you have no candidate for president. That's unusual. Diba? And it smacks of weakness. Is the PDP Laban really as strong as it makes itself out to be? Having the president there should make it strong, but like we said, the weakness of President Duterte isn't any of his policies or anything that he had actually done, but it's the weakness of the people around him. Diba? Yun ang nakikita natin. Hindi si Presidente Duterte ang may kahinaan or may mga problema sa governance and all that. It's really his people. And it's the same people who are pulling the strings on this one. I'm not saying this because it's a bad thing. On the contrary, I'm saying it because that's just really what it is. On the other hand, the president is also propped up by very good people. Secretary Art Tugade, Secretary Mark Villar, people under them. All of these have been performing at levels that are exemplary for public servants. But at the same time, look, I'm really worried because the surveys, if we're going to believe them, put them not exactly in the top 12. They're not within striking distance as of now, no? I'm sure that's going to change later on. Pero why is it so skewed like this? And so the president put his finger on it correctly and said, why do you keep voting for these people? It's possible that there are also forces that are working to put them in position. But what the president is saying is that this is no longer acceptable. Whatever it is that puts all of these tapos into positions, particularly in the Senate, this has to stop. So, now inintroduce niya yung idea na yon. Teka, eto. Now, Sara, in her usual straightforward way, says Sara will not support a Go Duterte tandem nor seek the presidency in election 2020. Will not support, she says, no, I will not share my light this time. Okay. Why? Because she did help in the campaigns of 2016 and 2019. Diba? Yung kanyang hugpong ay tumulong din dun sa ilang mga tao na that the president counts on up to now. Teka. Thank you kay Ma'am Erlinda. And thank you kay Ma'am Lauren Desa. Watching while they're on their way home. Nakaabot din daw po sa live. Okay. So, ayan yung sinasabi ni Madam, di ba? Look at that. Sara will not support a Go Duterte tandem nor seek the presidency in election 2020. I understand that father and daughter are not seeing eye to eye on this one. So, everybody who keeps saying there's a conspiracy with father and daughter, etc., again, why are you accusing them of lying? I really don't think they are. I think that there really has to be they're trying to come to an agreement between father and daughter. And the nice thing about that is that their family relationship is not affected by the political dynamics. Hindi naman apektado ang isa dun sa isa. Tatay pa rin siya, si Pangulo, he's still the father, she's still the daughter, she will still magmamano pa rin yan sa tatay niya, even if she will not support some of his political endeavors. This is her showing, this is Mayor Sara showing that she is also independent. At mahalaga po ito. The president lets this happen. You know why? He could stop this if he wanted to. But no, because even if right now it looks like malabong tatakbo si Mayor Sara, if she does run, she cannot run as a clone of her father. One, she's not a clone. But two, she will be able to avoid the pitfalls of being identified with the weaknesses of the Duterte administration. Diba? She can claim the strong ones, continuity for the good projects, but she can reject the weaker ones. Diba? She can be independent in certain areas, like she says it's possible she's not going to hire the same people her father hired. Diba? She's going to show that although she gives value to what her father has started, she's also going to do things her own way. So now we could see na si Sara, humihiwalay na yung kanyang personalidad. At matagal na niyang ginagawa ito. Talagang hinihiwalay niya yung personality niya sa tatay niya. Pinapakita na niya yung participation niya dun sa national affairs. Tingnan niyo yung nangyari dun in the fight for the speakership na na-install si Gloria Arroyo. Everybody knew that this was the hand of Sara Duterte. Also, the hand of Sara Duterte was quite evident in putting in Speaker Lord Alan Velasco as House Speaker after GMA. Diba? So, this is Sara flexing and showing everybody that she is capable, although she is a mayor, she is capable of participating in a big way sa national politics, and this is how she made her presence felt. This presence is still felt because survey after survey after survey shows her on top. Okay? You can say anything else about the other candidates, but the fact is Sara Duterte has remained consistent as number one, which is why people are so confused at her announcement or her saying that she's not running. Now, for those who are still counting on the Duterte BBM presidency, okay? Meaning Sara and BBM or BBM Sara tandem run, how can we make this happen? To be honest, although we're going to, it's really their decision, I think that their decisions can still be affected by people's clamor. I mean, let's face it, yun nga, it's survey after survey after survey showing Sara Duterte as number one. Well, that's not an easy task to do, particularly since the opposition, since day one, has been determined to make sure that these people aren't going to look good. They aren't very good. The good luck here is that our opposition not only is in shambles, they're not very good at what they're doing. Okay? So, that's what they're doing right now. Now, we're sweeping out the cobwebs. Yung mga, hindi, the president has something in mind. Kasama pa rin si Sara and all that. The evidence doesn't say that. Okay? The evidence here is clear. With Sara saying she's not supporting a Go Duterte tandem is a clear message that she and her father have parted ways with regard to how they're going to conduct this. But sumunod siya sa usapan. Ang usapan, isa lang sa kanila for national position. Now, how can we get around this? We have been proposing kanina sa tambayan na baka there's another way out, that we can still get Duterte BBM tandem for presidency and vice presidency. Bahala na sila mag-away kung sino yung presidente, sino vice. Yes, Yoshi. But what do we do with President Duterte? First, consider the moving parts. Ito, for presidency, Senator Bongo has declined the nomination. Dusot has launched, and this is a team that we have to watch carefully. Okay. Domagoso says he's running for VP. The opposition is in shambles, as usual. Pacquiao PDP faction is still kicking a fuss. BBM remains steady but may be affected by this development. Because it's, people are also counting on the side of BBM that a partnership with Sara Duterte would be very, very strong. It can actually, people are hoping that BBM candidacy together with Sara Duterte might cheat-proof his run. I'm just talking about perception. I'm not going to say that this is true or not. People perceive this, that his strength lies, he can be very, very strong with a Sara Duterte partner. Whether, I don't, kumbaga, I have no, basta gusto ko silang dalawa na, bahala sila who they think would probably be best. I have my brothers. I think that a Sara Duterte presidency will protect President Duterte as a rearguard action. Meaning, kasi si Pangulo, immune siya ngayon. Once he steps down, hindi na siya immune and maraming galit sa kanya, and we don't want him to end up like GMA in jail or like Laila de Lima, di ba? So, oops. Ang panggulo dito is my suggestion. PRID made recent tirades versus the senators, about the laws, harassment disguised as investigations, and of course, let's not forget the Commission on Disappointments where so many of his nominees were rejected. The agreement with Sara was no to two Dutertes running for national position. But, what if the president runs for Senate? And being the president and being Rodrigo Duterte, as long as he wins with a significant margin and with enough people in the Senate winning, kasi pag nangampanya siya as senator, hatak niya yung ibang mga tumatakbo as senator. So, it might be possible to get just enough of a majority to install him as Senate President. So, here are the benefits. The agreement can be amended so that two Dutertes can run. Although it's still both national position, it might be possible to get the president to agree to run in the legislature, or for Sara to agree that they'll both run, pero one is in the legislature and one is in the executive. But that means that they're going to, while they will be working together, it will be from separate branches of government. Kumbaga, merong distansya. Strong support of one to the other, meaning that Sara can get the strong legislative support and the president can finally pass the laws that he wants. A lot of which had not been passed because of all the politicking in the current legislature. PRRD remains a strong presence and can complete his mission. So, this is a wish list. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. This is, for me, just a strategy so that we can still get the BBM-Sara tandem that we want. The president gets protected in a rearguard action because he's still going to be senator, but at the same time, Sara or BBM, Sara can see to it that there is a rearguard action to protect him from the unnecessary and very dangerous lawsuits. Okay. Sinong galit, ma'am babes? Yuan says, okay, all of these are your theories now, ha? Yuan says, hati kay sa South dahil kay Pacquiao. Dito sa Norte talaga solid. Ilocano kami kay BBM. Tapos Bisaya pa kay Imelda Marcos. San ka pa? BBM na. You know, we could have said the same thing when he ran for vice president. What you can mention all of these variables, but yeah, the proof in the pudding is the problem nga is that he's coming from a loss. Don't get me wrong, I would really love to see BBM either as vice or as president. I have no qualms about what position he takes. However, I also want to be realistic. Himukin nyo na tumakbo si Bongbong sa Pangulo. Bakit pipilitin nyo ang gusto nyo? May gusto din kami. We need Sara, period. Ako ba kausap ninyo o kayo nag-uusap? Huwag po kayo mag-away. Ang aga-aga pa, no nito. But, we can all, dapat libre tayo, o malaya tayo, na magsabi ng mga gusto natin, di ba, sa loobin natin. But hindi ibig sabihin na magkaaway tayo. Hindi kailangan. Ito yung plus, remember at the same time, itong sinasabi ni Ma'am Erlinda, si Mayor Isko, tumitira din ngayon. We do not want to be part of those na naninira sa isa't isa. Election to, hindi ba matagal na natin sinasabi, bakit tayo mag-aaway? Panahon na ba na tayo? Is there already a contest? Wala pa. Pwede naman natin sabihin, ang preference ko ganito. Pero hindi kailangan awayin, let's say, ng mga pro-BBM for president, yung mga pro-Sara for president, because it's too early. Ang dami pang moving parts, ang dami pang nangyayari. Diba? Huwag tayong mag-aaway because the opposition is counting on that. And in fact, PDP Laban is counting on that. Hindi natin, Sara has made it clear, hindi kakampi ang PDP Laban. And look what Senator BBM is doing also. He's on very good terms with Sara, as well as Senator Amy is also very good terms with Sara. While both Marcos kids, BBM and Amy, are on relatively good terms with the president, they are so much closer to Mayor Sara rather than President Duterte. Number one. And if we're going to be really objective about it, a lot of the pro-BBM, the BBM watchers, like us, we have not seen from the people surrounding the president the kind of support for BBM that we were expecting before. One, in his case, and two, he could have made a great cabinet secretary. Diba? Why didn't he become one? Yung mga ganon, these things are going to nag you So that's why I'm saying is that PDP Laban, kalaban natin ang PDP Laban. That's why I like Mayor Sara for calling it like it is. I'm not helping PDP Laban. Diba? Hindi siya tutulong dyan. Hindi siya dyan. To draw the line. And so we should also be seeing what she's doing. She drew the line, hindi yan kakampi. And so we also have to consider that. Diba? So, in the meantime, meron din tayong mga Mayor Isko, may Manny Pacquiao, may Pisot. So all of these are, and let's not discount, meron pa yung yung opposition, yung mga Leni Robredo people and the Liberal Party, they're also going to field their own candidates. Now, here's another medyo disturbing opinion that I've heard. I'm not sure if I agree with it, but magpapasalamat muna ako kay Botong. I'm still hoping that Sara will change her mind and run after all. Ako, so do I. Hope springs eternal. But I'm ready to throw in full support to PBM or, diba, if he decides to run for presidency. Okay? Ito. One opinion I heard that's slightly disturbing to me is that some people want to call a spade and say that most people want the president to retire or and bring in the new. He has done his part. He is how old? He's late 70s, going into he's more than 75. Diba? So there's an opinion floating around, I don't necessarily share it, na nagsasabi na maybe the president should retire from politics now, and we should be thankful that he has done all of this, and now it is time for the next generation to take over. So, especially since ang daming baggage that are surrounding him. And yun na nga, yun ang tingin dun sa PDP laban as the baggage of the president. I'm hoping this still changes. Pero ito lang yung, kumbaga, this is the perception that some people are telling me. Uy, kung nag-aaway kayo, can you at least mention the names nung kaaway ninyo? Kasi minsan parang lumalabas na ako yung kaaway ninyo para sabihin nyo kung ako yung kaaway ninyo para kaya ko kayong i-block. Loko lang. Actually, hindi ako nagloloko. Okay. Let me see. Mel Zamj says, positive lang po ang team natin, RSR, IPSM. IPSM Davao team. Inday for president. Diba? Tama ba yan? Davao. Hi, Mel. Yeah, positive tayo. I really think that, well, ano lang to, we're just trying to make sense of what's going on. A lot of what I'm saying might change, diba? After a day or two. Like I said, ang daming moving parts dito. Like before we were even Mayor Sara was saying there's going to be a Go Duterte tandem which he's not going to support, but Senator Bongo says he's not running. But that can still change. Senator Bongo can change his mind. Magkakaroon pa rin ng Go Duterte tandem and they'll run. Diba? It's also possible that people can change their minds all the way up and until the last minute in October. But like I said, si Mayor Sara, yung one person that we can count on. She can be counted on to keep her word. She's straightforward. But she can, nothing stops her naman from changing her mind, diba? Or for the president changing his mind to run for vice president. Ano niyo kung bakit? Yung isang napansin ko is, if the president runs for vice president at hindi natin alam kung sino magiging president niya, may pagka-lame duck pa rin siya because for the first time, you'll have a vice president who is not aspiring to be president. Now, that makes for some stability for whoever is going to sit as president. Pero it's not stable pa rin for those of us who are looking for a continuation of the Duterte legacy. Kasi, hindi siya makakatakbo. Vice president siya and he's not in a position to run. The vice presidency should be occupied by somebody whom we hope can move to a higher position later on. So, running as vice president, for me, doesn't do much good for the president. I would rather that he runs for a senator and be very active as the Senate president. And ako, I don't doubt that he can win as Senate president. Kayang-kayang gapahangin yung mga iba and get the necessary votes. Diba? VG says, marami nang nag-iisip na botante, nakatikim na ng Duterte governance and very happy kaya mga rereto ni Daddy D ang mananalo. Are you sure? Because if the president is running, ang irereto niya, Go Duterte. I don't doubt that they will win, by the way. A Go Duterte tandem is going to win. Pero, it might not be as stable as a Sara BBM Sara tandem. That's just an opinion. You don't need to agree. Eto, sabi ni John Ray Marceliones, natatawa lang po ako kasi the opposition seems to be so stressed out. May Lenny B pa silang kanta pero solid Sara Duterte pa rin po. Yun na nga That's the thing haven't you noticed how solid the following of Sara is? Sinasabi na nga niya hindi siya tatakbo. Solid Sara Duterte pa rin. So I think that we should just call it out and say, run. Run, Sara, run pa rin. Diba? Eto, sabi ni Alex Sandrix, I also like BBM. The problem is yung mga neutral sa kanya. Kung solid BBM ka, dinaya siya. Kung anti ka sa kanya, walang dayaan na nangyari kasi wala namang decision na there's significant cheating. With that, I think it's logical for him to run for VP first. If he wins, there will be vindication. Pwede. I see what you mean though. So, ayan, sabi ni Ma'am Vanji, Sara, run, please. Sabi ni Jade, si Jim Paredes daw tatakbo. Utang na loob, ha? Grabe, matutulad na naman yung morning edition natin sa Karambola kanina. Diyos ko! Ito, kaya sabi ni Ma'am Annie, exactly, basta run, Sara, run. Ako, I would still say run, Sara, run, even if she says that she's not running for a national position. Why? Because it confuses the opposition. Diba? And it might take the heat off the president. Yung pagka-constant attacks against the president, medyo it will lessen the heat. So, diba? Even if only for that, as a campaign strategy, run, Sara, run pa rin. Feli DG Asuncion says, ang iba kasi hindi alam ang mga kapalpakan ni FEM noon. Rampant din ang corruption ng mga Marcos cronies noon, ginamit pang dummies. Oo, but I don't like to think that that the sins of the father should be visited on the son. Diba? Like unlike Sara, who shines even apart from her father. Si BBM, he also shines so far away from his father. Of course, he brings up the Marcos legacy often kasi deceased yung father niya. So, I don't like to think na yung pagkakamali ng tatay niya ay namana ng anak niya. Hindi pa naman natin nakikita yon. Pero, I do worry about some people that surround BBM. I'm not that worried. Not as worried as I am as with other politicians. But, still, it will be tempered kasi. That's why I like the BBM-Sara tandem is that they temper each other. Ito, Sakura Nakano says, ganda ng platforms ni BBM. Oo, ma'am. Kami nga yung unang nagsabi nun, di ba? Kasi in-interview namin si BBM. And we were the ones who, after the interview, we did a live to clarify, to reiterate his position. And so, nakikita natin yung interest niya with regards to public utilities and agriculture, which are foremost on our minds. And this talaga, nobody comes close. Only BBM is articulating these things in a way that it's making an impact. I'm sure the other candidates, meron din silang stand, and I'm sure kahit paano, pinag-uusapan na rin nila. Pero ang primary, strategy for their candidacy is manira lang sa gobyerno, which I think is diminishing returns. Kahit ano pang sabihin nila, itong angry, reactionary candidate is starting to become a thing of the past. We have experienced 5 years under Duterte where things were getting done. We have free tertiary education. We just need somebody to expand on these programs to make sure that we're going to get the trains that we deserve, transportation that we deserve, a real infrastructure solution to traffic, di ba? A management that mitigates, that brings down the amount of corruption. I don't think we can bring it to zero, but put it down to levels where hindi tayo nalulugi sa amounts that are getting lost to corruption. Ako, simple lang ako. I'm not even asking for the moon here, but I want continuity for these projects. I don't trust the opposition to do that because sila yung type na ayaw nilang mag-benefit yung mga kalaban nila. Diba? So, tinitigil yung mga projects and so on. What was the first thing that Noynoy Aquino did becoming president? One of the first things, pinatigil yung Belgian dredging project and so many of the Gloria Arroyo projects. So, I don't want a president who's going to be like that. I want a president and a supportive vice president that has a clear agenda, a clear vision of where they want to take us. And so I see that in both BBM and in Sara. So I don't see that, objectively speaking, even if we are not hindi tayo sang-ayon dun sa mga pinagsasabi ni Mayor Isko. Kung nakita natin sana yung malinaw na plataforma, meron siyang vision para sa bansa, yung parang pwede niyang sabihin sa atin, oy, tatakbo po ako bilang presidente o vice-presidente at ito po ang gusto kong mangyari. So that after 6 years, sa pagkakaupo ko din sa pwesto in a national position, ganito na ang Pilipinas. Tell us where you're taking us. So far, only BBM has been able to do that. So, I hope the other candidates will rise to the occasion, di ba? I hope na makita ng mga ibang kandidato na ganito yung gusto natin marinig. Ano ba ang plano mo para sa atin? Di ba? Si BBM lang ang nagsasabi kung ano yung plano niya. Nakakairita, di ba? Na tuloy, I really regret the 6 years, the 5 years that we have lost if we had BBM for a vice president. Sabi ni Leandro Madamba, there's no certainty until filing October 8 and even November 15 substitution. Hoping for a Marcos Duterte tandem, not only formidable, it's a sealed victory. I think he just articulated what we're all thinking and but we have to be clear and make a difference between what is really happening and what we are hoping is happening. Okay? Dapat clear-minded tayo para hindi tayo nadi-disappoint ng mga kandidato natin. Yan, Ma'am Anacela Watson says, yes, BBM, hinog na, very objective at may vision. So, that being said, recap lang natin. A good compromise dun sa agreement ng mag-ama is for the president not to run as vice president kasi wala namang gagawin masyadong vice president. Kung mag-senate president siya, we can actually get laws passed, the laws that we were hoping to get passed but suffered from too much politicking. And we can get certain really bad laws repealed. Diba? We can finally see genuine tax reform going on here. A rationalization. We might even finally get a tax code, codify all of the tax laws so that they become clear and easy for laymen to understand. Yeah? We need somebody, a formidable person in the legislature. We need somebody with good and strong leadership who has a clear idea of what laws are necessary. At para dun sa mga pro-parliamentary or pro whatever it is, Fed, Parl, or whatever it is you want, having Duterte in the legislature might be able to make that possible. Diba? We can shake things up. We can have, we can even get the Constitution amended if that was necessary. Think of the possibilities if President Duterte becomes Senate President Duterte. Shucks, diba? Think of what we could do. Ang dami, diba? Ito, sabi ni Peters, hope we get a clear direction from President Duterte as most of us are not familiar with political tactics. Sara and BBM is unbeatable, but we need a clear support. Agree. I agree. The President kasi is so used to the cloak and dagger that's involved because meron siya ang titindi ng mga kalaban niya tuloy-tuloy walang humpay. So the President has had to adjust his leadership style to take into consideration itong mga attacks sa kanya. So, understandable that he has to be secretive, that he has to be, that he has to be constantly on the attack, and he has no time or attention to give to clarifying for us everything else. Kasi ang sinabi lang niya is running for vice president, 1, because he didn't want to be a lame duck, and 2, for love of country. That doesn't give us any idea of what the value is in being vice president later on. But we can see the clear value in being a Senate president. Mama Luces, basta ako, pamilya ko BBM Sara or Sara BBM, wag lang parehong presidente ang tatakbo nila. Alam ko. At walang dilawan at yung di matinong PDP laban members. Jade says, ginisa pala ni Pab si Lenny sa sarili niya mantika for voicing out support for Pacquiao Iskot. Well, what if President Duterte endorses the presidential bid of BBM? Will the DDS support it? I don't see why not. Diba? But of course, it will depend. If Sara is running, then that kind of divides us. Thrifty says, maybe Digong doesn't want Sara to be attacked like the way he is attacked today. How long is he going to protect his daughter? Diba? O, sabihin na natin na totoo yan. Is that even actually a good thing? And should we support the president when this is not a good thing for us? We love the president, but we've always called him out when he's wrong. June Feliciano says, gusto ko lang magpasalamat kay President Duterte. Kung di dahil sa kanya, di matapos yung project ng Convention Center at yung Coastal Road ng Cagayan City. 25 years na yan, napabayaan. Imagine yung Convention Center, nagkalawang na lang na hinto yung project ng natalo si Coco sa pagtakbo ng mayor, watching from New York City. Yes, ma'am. Agree. Super agree ako dyan. Nung campaign period ng Duterte, mga voters niya ang nagka-campaign. Ang lakas niya sa Japan nung araw, ganun din sa ibang bansa. Yep. Okay. Eduardo Morales says, maybe Digong wants to protect the opposition from Sara. That's probably more likely. Yuan says, paki-invite si BBM sa Karambola. What makes you think he's not going to come back? Eto, Ma'am Lynn says, and this is true, BBM is a true statesman, doesn't talk trash to anybody. But neither does Senator Bongo, by the way. I'm sorry na isingit ko. No, I just want to be fair, because since he says he's not running, I really want to point this out, that Senator Bongo, if you notice, doesn't talk trash about anybody either, except if the president takes the lead later on. But BBM, consistent yan. Pero with Sara naman, what I like is the unvarnished truth. Deadly pag sumasagot si Madam Sara. Lalabas talaga ako bukas para magpa-register for voting, sabi ni Ma'am Elizabeth De Castro. May boto ko lang si BBM at mga na-recommend ni President Duterte. Go, ma'am. Go, 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 go. Go. Lamang kasi si PRRD sa airtime kasi halos every week ang talk to the people, kaya kailangan sumabay ng mga anti-government senators para sa media coverage. Yeah, but they're not very good. Diba? Napansin nyo? Hindi sila magaling. And that's objectively speaking, kasi they're doing the same tricks over and over again. Kitang-kita na sila, tapos ulitin pa. Bob Mario TV says, let us wait na lang after filing, then we decide and or talk if they both go for the presidency. Then that time we go separate ways. That's a good idea, actually. In the meantime, we'll discuss, diba? We'll keep discussing, we'll keep evaluating and all throughout. But let's keep an even keel. Let's see what happens in October. But there's nothing naman that says that we cannot tell people who we prefer. Huwag lang tayo mag-aaway. Diba? For those who say BBM for president, go for it. For those who say Sara for president, go for it. Ganyan. Tignan na lang natin yung sitwasyon. Tama si Bob Mario TV. Let's see the situation in October. Then we can coalesce. Makikita liliwanag na yan. Of course, we could also support a Duterte vice presidency or, a Duterte Senate run and so on. Diba? Kasama na naman sila ni Senator Bongo sa Iko Cayetano says, is fighting corruption fruitful? Kagaya nung 2019, delayed the national budget dahil sa 50 billion insertion. Ang nawala naman sa ekonomiya ay 77 billion per month lasting 8 months. You're right. May diminishing returns itong mga But it's not that fighting corruption isn't fruitful. We do have to diminish the amount of corruption. I think what you're saying is that these grandstanding gestures at fighting corruption are so not helping. If we're going to fight corruption, it's something that we have to be doing every day. Diba? So we have the Office of the Ombudsman, we have all of these agencies that are geared towards that. Pero all of these grandstanding, these accusations, I accuse you, you're corrupt, true, ganyan. It's great entertainment sometimes, or bad entertainment, but it's generally entertainment. And not always helping. I think ang ginagawa ng Senado is basically bread and circus. 'Di ba nung panahon ng mga Romans, to make the citizen be happy, to keep them from revolting, or from rebelling, was to make sure na kumakain sila at may entertainment sila. And for a long time, our politicians have always been doing that, making sure that we had these trashy movies, we had ABS-CBN to numb our minds to the reality of things. And papatay-patay ang internet kasi baka tayo masyadong tumalino, and so on. And then, So it's bread and circus. May kumakain pa naman tayo, tapos ito yung circus that they're providing. Politics as entertainment. And the news as entertainment as well. The media is not, kumbaga blameless in this entire thing. Hi kay Ma'am Nanette. She's asking where she can send her super sticker. Well, Ma'am, if you look down, if you're on Facebook, you have to go to YouTube, Madam. Tapos, mag-subscribe kayo. Tapos, when you go to the dialogue box where you put in your comment, there should be a dollar sign or a peso sign or a yen sign. No peso sign. A yen sign or whatever it is that wherever the currency of the country that you're in, lilitaw yan, you just have to press that. So, it's on YouTube, Madam. I like that ABS-CBN giving trashy films and drama series. Okay. Tama, para malabanan korupsyon, wag basta maniwala sa mga politicians, pumili ng tama, lalo na plataforma ni Lacson. Nabigla ako doon. Walang laman. Yes, but because I think that he's mostly posturing pa it's going to be difficult. I'm not sure if he can raise pala to the level of Senator BBM. Let's see. Mabuhay ang mga waray, sabi ni Waray Music. Bakit? Hindi pa ba? Ito, Jerome says, even if I'm from Manila, I won't vote for Isko this coming national election simply because he's so ambitious and can't do better what Duterte did. Well, I think there's nothing wrong with being ambitious as long as you have the smarts and the ability to back up your yabang, di ba? Wala masama sa kayabangan. It might turn people off, but it's not a sin, it's not a vice. But kung mayabang ka at walang ibubuga dun sa actual paggawain na, dad. That's what you call dad. Ma'am Nenita, thank you very much. Okay, last two. Christian Jasper Fernandez says, Winax Tiato, isama mo na, may kausap na naman pa kayo. Very well said, sabi ni Ma'am Erlinda. Ang ayaw ko kay BBM, sabi ni Just Wanna Have Fun, ay yung sinabi niya na open siyang makipag-usap sa lahat ng partido. Paano kung yung mga leftist o yung mga oligarchs o mga trapo makipag-usap, okay lang sa kanya? I think he might need to clarify that. Diba? May kumakalabit na aso. Yes, Yoshi. Hindi ka nakikita dyan. There. Look. No. Over here. Hindi ka nakikita eh. Wait lang. Okay? Yes! Wait down. Good boy. Mark Anthony says, sana ikaw maging spokesperson ni Sara Duterte. Even if I don't really think that she knows I exist, although meron nga siyang video. I think she barely knows who I am, and I'm sure after that video makakalimutan na niya ako. So wag po tayo masyadong ambisyoso katulad ng ibang mga kandidato dyan. Ang saya-saya naman natin dito, di ba? Okay na tayo dito. At saka, hindi naman tayo malakas, di tayo kilala, and so on. So, huwag naman po tayong mag-ambisyon. I'm sure, marami pong kakilala si Mayor Sara na mas magagaling pa at mas kayang-kaya nilang mag-spokes and has her trust and confidence. Yun po yung importante pagdating sa mga appointments. So, huwag naman po tayo mag-ambition. Hindi ko ina-ambition yung mga maging nasa gobyerno para tumulong ng ganyan kasi nakakatulong naman tayo dito sa lugar natin dito. Kailangan dumugal tayo. Ito. Amir says, dapat magkaisang Duterte supporters and BBM supporters, baka mauwi tayo sa mga. Kung sino maging presidente at vice president, dapat magtulungan tayo, baka masungkit pa ang oposisyon. Sara BBM for president, BBM Sara for vice president, PRRD for senator, sure will later on elected as Senate president. Diba? Ito, sabi ni Shuni, so humble, hindi po, nagpapakatotoo lang. Ito, I don't want to turn Trixie to be spokesperson of Mayora Inday. Bakit mawawalan kami ng co-host na lang? Tumawa sa karambola. Grabe yung value ko talaga no, nasa tawa. Si Friday naman says exactly the opposite. Huwag muna nga tayo mag-ambisyon kasi, di ba? Hindi tayo ganong kasikat. Pero meron tayong mga ganito. Pero kung gusto niyo, mag-like and share kayo para maririnig nila tayo kahit paano. Diba? Isko and po possible daw sabi ni Atoy Palatan. Well, I think that's a good combination. But I don't think something drastic has to happen para manado sila. Walang momentum eh. Walang nakikitang momentum. Sabi ni Ruben, your live feed completes the day. Thank you for your great service to the nation. Too, you deserve to be spokesperson. But that might not be exactly a good thing. Mamaya, bigla akong matawa at the wrong time. Diba? Ilang beses na tayo, pambansang pahamak. Pambansang napahamak talaga ako. In so many instances. Kahit tanungin nyo dun sa mga every time I get in trouble, it's because napahamak ako dahil either natawa ako, hindi ako yung promotor. Okay lang sana yung mababash ka online dahil ikaw yung promotor pero ako yung pambansang napahamak Okay. Sabi ng iba dito, choppy na tayo, so i-wrap up natin. Let's see. Ma'am Linda Lai, salamat sa super sticker. Kapag asa gobyerno na si Atty. Trixie, magiging seryoso naman masyadong maganda yung hampas lupa na lang para kahit kalokohan pwede. Oo, di ba? Ang saya-saya naman natin dito. Hindi naman tayo tatanggi pag humingi ng tulong ang gobyerno o lalo-lalo na yan sina Mayor Sara, sina Citizen DBM tawag sa kanya. Hindi tayo tatanggi pag kailangan nila ng tulong kasi nakikita naman natin na worth it sila. But I really don't think that they will ask me to be an official. Diba? Tutulong na lang tayo. Tutulong tayo dito sa election. Pagka nag-decide na sila kung saan sila, mamimili lang tayo kung saan tayo talagang makakatulong. Tapos tutulong tayo. Hindi tayo tatanggi dun sa mga requests ng tulong, lalong-lalo na pagkailangan ng bayan. Pero I really don't think that necessary yung tulong ko in an official capacity. Yeah. Okay. So, dun sa mga may problema sa audio, go na tayo. Maraming salamat. Bakit nagcha-choppy? Okay, wait lang ha. Ayusin na natin. Okay, that should be well. Okay pa ba? Choppy pa ba? Baka signal na po yan. Okay, maraming salamat. Sige, i-ano na natin. Maraming salamat. Huwag kakalimutan po mag-like and share. Like and share. Like and share to si Ma'am Pinay. KBP. Ay, nasa live stream pala ako ng Luminous at wala sa radyo. Pahamak na pagtawad. Ayan. Uy, totoo yan ha. Hindi ko dinay yan. Okay, maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. May subtle weekend pa rin tayo. I'm not sure if it's tomorrow. Pero, suffice it to say, basta may subtle weekend tayo this weekend. Sabihan nyo na lang ako kung anong topic dito sa putol-putol pa rin ba? Ayan. Okay. Hindi naman ito yung hindi naman ito. Okay, maraming salamat. Huwag kakalimutan mag-like and share. Check nyo po kung naka-follow pa rin po kayo sa Luminous by Trixie Cruz-Angeles and Ahmed Paglinawan dun sa ating Facebook. At huwag kakalimutan po, don't forget, subscribe sa YouTube channel natin. Maraming salamat. Lumampas na po tayo sa 50,000. Let's go for 100,000, guys. Thank you. See you over the weekend. Have a good night, everybody.